President Donald Trump recently concluded a significant diplomatic tour. He visited key Middle Eastern allies between May 12 and May 16, 2025. This marked his first official overseas visit since retaking office in January 2025. The primary destinations included Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. The core purpose of this high-profile engagement was clear. It aimed to substantially strengthen the United States' relationships with these Gulf nations. Discussions revolved around bolstering existing ties. They also focused on forging new avenues for cooperation across various sectors, setting a new tone for American foreign policy in this critical global region. The visit unfolded against a backdrop of a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape. The United States sought to reassert its influence and commitment to the Middle East. This re-engagement is seen by many observers as a strategic move. It aims to reassure traditional partners of America's steadfast support. Furthermore, the tour was perceived as an effort to counterbalance the growing influence of other global powers, notably China, in the region. President Trump's administration appeared keen to demonstrate that America remains the preeminent partner for Gulf countries. This involves security, economic development, and diplomatic initiatives designed to foster long-term stability and shared prosperity for all involved. A notable and somewhat symbolic policy shift emerged during this visit. The U.S. administration announced its decision to officially use the term Arabian Gulf. This replaces the term Persian Gulf in American governmental communications. This linguistic adjustment, while seemingly minor to some, carries significant weight in the region. It aligns the U.S. stance with that of its Arab Gulf allies. It was largely welcomed by officials in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. However, it is also a move that could potentially add another layer of complexity to relations with Iran, which lies on the other side of the strategic waterway. This change underscores a deliberate pivot in regional U.S. diplomacy. The overarching objectives of President Trump's Middle East tour were multifaceted. However, they primarily centered on three critical pillars: security, economic partnerships, and substantial investment commitments. Throughout his discussions in Riyadh, Doha, and Abu Dhabi, these themes remained at the forefront. The president aimed to secure robust agreements that would enhance regional security frameworks. He also sought to unlock vast economic opportunities for American businesses. This included attracting significant Gulf investments into the United States. These goals were pursued vigorously, reflecting a transactional yet strategically grounded approach to foreign relations with these oil-rich and influential nations. The success of these endeavors will likely shape U.S. Gulf dynamics for years. The United Arab Emirates emerged as a cornerstone of the economic dimension of President Trump's visit. The UAE announced a truly staggering $1.4 trillion investment plan. This ambitious blueprint is set to unfold over the next 10 years. It will strategically focus on high-growth sectors critical for future economies. These include artificial intelligence, advanced semiconductors, sustainable energy solutions, and modern manufacturing capabilities. During the visit itself, an impressive $200 billion in direct deals were formally signed, illustrating the immediate impact of these discussions. This substantial financial commitment signals the UAE's intent to diversify its economy and deepen its technological and industrial ties with the United States significantly. Delving into the specifics, the deals emanating from the UAE visit are diverse and substantial. Etihad Airways, the UAE's national airline, committed to a $14.5 billion investment in Boeing aircraft, a major boost for the American aerospace giant. The Abu Dhabi National Oil Company unveiled a $60 billion plan in collaboration with American oil companies, reinforcing energy partnerships. Furthermore, Emirates Global Aluminum announced a significant $4 billion smelter project to be developed in Oklahoma, bringing investment and jobs to the U.S. in the technology sphere. Qualcomm is set to establish an AI and data center hub in Abu Dhabi. Amazon Web Services will also enhance its collaboration with UAE telecom provider and the Cybersecurity Council, building on Microsoft's earlier $1.5 billion investment in UAE's AI group, G42. Qatar also made monumental economic pledges during President Trump's tour. The Qatari government announced a $1.2 trillion investment pledge, underscoring its financial power and strategic economic vision. Alongside this broader commitment, specific deals totaling an impressive $243.5 billion were inked. A standout agreement was Qatar Airways' massive $96 billion deal for the purchase of 210 Boeing aircraft, another significant win for the American manufacturer. The Qatar Investment Authority, the nation's sovereign wealth fund, further committed to investing $500 billion. This capital will be directed towards cutting-edge sectors such as artificial intelligence, the development of data centers, and advancements in healthcare within the United States, fostering innovation and growth. Saudi Arabia, a long-standing economic partner, was also a key focus for President Trump. The kingdom had previously announced a substantial $600 billion investment commitment over 4 years. President Trump expressed a clear aim to see this figure increase towards the $1 trillion mark, reflecting high expectations for U.S.-Saudi economic collaboration. During the visit, Saudi Arabia announced a fresh $600 billion investment specifically targeted at U.S. manufacturing, a sector President Trump has consistently championed. The Public Investment Fund, which controls assets worth $925 billion, is central to these initiatives. Notable new deals include agreements for NVIDIA AI chips, a $10 billion partnership with AMD, a $5 billion AI zone with Amazon, and a $100 million AI fund plus a $20 billion data deal with Supermicro involving Google. Saudi Arabia featured prominently in the security and defense aspects of President Trump's Middle East agenda. The kingdom is expected to purchase over $100 billion in U.S. arms, a landmark figure. This extensive procurement list includes advanced missile systems, sophisticated radar technology, and various transport aircraft, significantly upgrading Saudi defense capabilities. A comprehensive Saudi-American defense agreement, valued at an impressive $142 billion, was officially announced during the visit. Furthermore, a specific $3.5 billion missile deal with Saudi Arabia was confirmed, underscoring the deepening military ties. These agreements reflect a mutual desire to bolster regional security and ensure Saudi Arabia is well-equipped to address emerging threats effectively. A key component of the U.S.-Saudi security discussions revolved around Riyadh's aspirations for American cooperation in developing a civil nuclear program. This sensitive issue requires careful navigation, but represents a significant area of potential long-term strategic partnership. Saudi Arabia is also seeking more explicit reassurance of the United States' unwavering commitment to Gulf stability. Alongside this, Riyadh desires faster, more streamlined access to advanced U.S. military equipment and technology. President Trump's visit appeared to make headway on these fronts, aiming to solidify a robust U.S.-Saudi security pact that addresses the kingdom's defense needs comprehensively and fortifies the bilateral relationship against regional uncertainties. In Qatar, the United States moved to extend its significant military presence. Al Udeid Air Base, the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East, will continue to operate under American command for another 10 years. This extension solidifies Qatar's role as a critical hub for U.S. military operations in the region. Additionally, the two nations amended a 1992 Defense Cooperation Agreement, updating it to reflect contemporary security challenges and opportunities. A U.S.-Qatar security partnership, valued at an estimated $38 billion, was also highlighted during the discussions. As part of this enhanced cooperation, Qatar is acquiring $3 billion worth of advanced MQ-9B drones, and sophisticated FS-LIDS counter-drone systems, bolstering its defensive capabilities. The United Arab Emirates also solidified its defense relationship with the United States during this pivotal visit. A substantial $1.4 billion defense deal was announced, which will provide the UAE with modern military equipment. This procurement is aimed at enhancing the operational capabilities of the UAE armed forces and ensuring interoperability with U.S. and other allied forces in the region. The agreement signifies a continued American commitment to the UAE's security and its role in maintaining regional stability. Collectively, these defense agreements across Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE underscore a broader U.S. strategy. This strategy involves strengthening the indigenous defense capacities of its Gulf allies while ensuring a strong American security umbrella continues to protect shared interests. President Trump's visit precipitated several key policy shifts, notably in technology export regulations. The administration scrapped Biden-era restrictions on the export of advanced U.S. chips to over 120 countries, including the Gulf states. This decision is particularly beneficial for nations like the UAE, which has ambitious goals to become a global leader in artificial intelligence by 2031. The lifting of these AI export curbs is expected to accelerate their progress. Simultaneously, President Trump exerted pressure on Gulf Cooperation Council states to create more distance in their relationships with China. The multi-billion-dollar agreements signed during the tour were in part intended to draw these nations closer to the U.S. economic and technological orbit, away from Beijing's increasing influence. The diplomatic agenda also tackled complex regional security issues with renewed vigor. Indirect U.S.-Iran negotiations, ongoing since April 12, 2025, received a new impetus. President Trump announced that Iran had partially agreed to U.S. terms proposed during the fourth round of talks in Muscat, with GCC states expressing support for a new, comprehensive nuclear agreement. Regarding Syria, President Trump held a significant meeting with Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa. He pledged to normalize U.S.-Syria relations and announced the anointing of U.S. sanctions on Syria, including those under the Caesar Act, a move Qatar had been advocating. Discussions covered counter-terrorism, foreign fighters, Palestinian aspirations, and Kurdish security concerns, signaling a potential realignment in Syrian policy. Efforts to address ongoing conflicts and foster wider peace were central to the discussions. The Gaza war was a prominent topic, with talks focusing on achieving a sustainable ceasefire. The release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas and ensuring adequate humanitarian aid for the beleaguered Gazan population were also key priorities. A U.S.-controlled aid delivery mechanism was proposed to streamline assistance. An agreement was reportedly reached for a phased Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, to be followed by comprehensive reconstruction efforts. President Trump also continued to urge Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, potentially normalizing relations with Israel, and even discussed Syria's potential future inclusion in such frameworks. Furthermore, the visit highlighted the GCC's diplomatic role, particularly Saudi Arabia and the UAE, in mediating the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Beyond the major policy decisions and economic agreements, the tradition of diplomatic gift-giving played its customary role. The Pentagon announced that it had accepted a jet aircraft from Qatar. This aircraft, once suitably modified, will be available for President Trump's use. Such gestures, while sometimes scrutinized, are a long-standing feature of international diplomacy, particularly in the Gulf region. They often symbolize goodwill, strengthen personal relationships between leaders, and can reflect the depth of bilateral partnerships. In conclusion, President Trump's Middle East tour has demonstrably reshaped aspects of U.S. policy, secured vast economic commitments, and reinforced security alliances. The long-term implications for regional stability, economic interdependence, and America's global standing will continue to unfold in the months and years ahead.